Hi everyone, it's Claire back again. We're going to do another Clare Compares today. So this is the second one and I've got 5 comparisons to show you. Before we start, I'll show you what's on my nails. This is Jagged Little Teal from the China Glaze Rebel collection, fall collection for this year. And it's topped with a glitter gradient Lilypad Lacquer Wildfire. So that's these two here. Thought they could go really well together with the kind of green in both of them. So yeah, glitter gradient. Right, okay. I'm going to start with this polish actually that I mentioned in a recent video. This is the Bourjois So Lac, and it's the Bleu Asphalte. So it's got this, it's a grey base, but there's a drop of a kind of violet purple in there. So that's this one, and I thought, I mentioned in this video that it reminded me very much of Rimmel Punk Rock. So I don't know if you can see side by side there. This one's a little bit more, there's the pigment seems, you know, it needs to be shaken up. Just 1 minute, I need to let the cat out yet again. Yeah, sorry about that. So we're going to do these two first, and I think on these two the colour is very similar but the formula is very different. So this is a much more of a glossy formula. So actually it looks a bit streaky there, that's just the first coat, but it does dry fine on 2 coats. It's just that the formula just doesn't seem to suit me. It just feels a bit strange on the nails. So this is going to look immediately darker because it's much more opaque. So we'll come back to those and I'll put a second coat on the Bourjois. But in the bottles they look very, very, very similar to me. So we'll come back to that and we'll go to a lighter colour. This is from the Essie Brights mini set, and this is On the Scene, and it's a shimmery bubblegum pink. And it's got like a gold shimmer in there, and it reminded me of a Sally Hansen that I picked up not too long ago. This is Blow Bubbles and On the Scene, and they don't, I mean, in the light here and in the bottles the Essie does look quite a bit darker, but I just want to see, because of the comparisons with this shimmer, sometimes they can look quite similar on the nail depending on the consistency. So if you like the colour, and they do, if they do compare, then I would say, I think the Sally Hansen is the more inexpensive one. This is these weird coffin shaped, you can take the lid off. Yeah, these strange shaped bottles. I think this is going to be a lot more sheer. Yeah, very, very sheer. Okay, that might take quite a while to build up to see the colour comparison. Didn't realise it was quite so sheer. So yeah, that's not really comparable. Just want to very quickly put another coat on this because I think it's dried quite quickly. Yeah, you can see the colour comparison much more there on the second coat. I'll try to keep building that up as we go along. So put them down here. Sun in my eye, I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, the next one is this is a Wet n Wild Mega Last, and this is I Need a Refreshmint, and I thought it looked very similar just on the shelf there to Can't Find My Czechbook by OPI. So this is obviously the more expensive polish, and this is a lot more inexpensive, but the colours look very similar to me. So let's have a quick look. This is the Wet n Wild, so the nice flat paddle brush. Yeah, decent formula, that's going to be great in 2 coats. Let's have a look at the OPI. So this is Can't Find My Czechbook. As I'm applying it, it does look a little bit more blue than the Wet n Wild, but we'll see on a second. We'll have a look at that on a second coat. The next comparison that I've got is another Wet n Wild and OPI, and I do think that the OPI is slightly more, it's slightly darker with a greyer muted tone now that I look at it in the sun, but let's have a look at it on the swatch. So this is the more inexpensive polish. This is On a Trip by Wet n Wild, and this one is Lost My Bikini in Molokini by OPI. So again, let's have a look at the Wet n Wild first. Sorry about all the shadows, it's just the sun has just decided to come out. So that's the Wet n Wild, and this is Lost My Bikini in Molokini. Yeah, immediately it does seem darker, but the Wet n Wild might build up, might darken, deepen a little bit on the second coat. And the last comparison that I've got, so the 5th one, in fact before I do that, let me just put another coat of this Sally Hansen on, because I really do want to see if we can see a colour comparison. I don't think we're going to be able to. So this is, you know, it's obviously deliberately intended to be a kind of sheer polish. Yeah, I thought they were going to be really quite similar, but no, that's definitely a fail. Okay, and the last two here is another Essie mini. So this is Namastay the Night, and I want to compare it to a Barry M matte polish. This is Malibu. The colours look very, very similar to me. A very bright cobalt blue, but obviously one is going to be glossy and one is going to be matte. Just one of the cats has turned the Hoover on upstairs, the vacuum. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let me explain. My entire house is zoned off with like cat zone and dog zone, and upstairs where the cat litter and the cat for all the cat stuff is, it's zoned off, and there's a Hoover left in the middle of it, and somebody's jumped over and put their foot on it and started the Hoover, which was completely distracting me. I don't know if you could hear it, but certainly I could. But anyway, I've turned it off. There's always some interruptions from my animals, it's incredible. The final comparison. So let's go with the Essie first. So this is Namastay the Night, which is a beautifully opaque bright blue. Thinking of getting this, you know, if I ever come across this in TK Maxx full size, I will definitely be grabbing this. So that is Namastay the Night, and this is Barry M Matte Malibu. Yeah, it looks similar to me. Great formulas on the mattes, on the Barry M mattes. In fact, it looks a little bit brighter, even more bright than Namastay the Night, but, you know, comparable. Put another quick, so this is the third coat. I'm wasting my time here, I know. Can't help it. Right, okay, let's go back and do another quick coat. So this will be the third coat of the Bourjois. I'll bring you up to have a closer look at the colours when I've applied the second coat. Me personally, I much prefer the punk rock. The colours are very, very similar, but if I'd have realised I already had the colour, I wouldn't have picked up the Bourjois. This is what, the fourth, fifth coat? It's not making any difference. Give up, Claire. Right, now I think with these two they're very similar, and I think I did the Wet n Wild first. I don't want to get them mixed up. Yeah. Actually, the Wet n Wild looks like it's got the better formula here on the second coat. This is OPI Can't Find My Czechbook. Something trapped in there that's fallen off one of the bottlenecks. Yeah, hands down the Wet n Wild formula beats the OPI on that score. Same again with these gorgeous purples. That's the Wet n Wild on a trip, and lost my Bikini in Molokini. I don't even think it needs a second coat, but we're going to do it anyway. Yeah, considerably deepens the colour there on the second coat. So I think they're much more comparable in the bottles than they are on the nail. And another quick coat of Namastay the Night. I mean, I think if you're careful, you probably can get this opaque in one. But just for the purposes of deepening up the colour for a comparison, I'm going to do two coats of everything, apart from that Sally Hansen. That's obviously meant to be sheer. Okay, let's have a closer look at the colours. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comparisons. So here we go. That's the Bourjois, and that is the punk rock. I think they look very, very similar. The Bourjois looks slightly, maybe a tiny bit darker and a little bit glossier. The Essie and the Sally Hansen don't compare at all, so that shimmer was quite deceptive. They are very different. That's a much deeper, more opaque bubblegum pink, and that's a more sheer, like almost like a salmon pink. These two like robin's egg blue colours here. This one is the Wet n Wild, and that's the OPI. I think the colours are comparable, although I would say there's more green in the Wet n Wild, and it's a better formula. And with the two purples, this is the Wet n Wild and the OPI have both got great formulas actually. It just depends on whether or not this is yeah, I think you can definitely justify having both. This is definitely a paler, brighter colour, and this is a more darker grey, muted colour. The two bright blues, again, the Essie Namastay the Night is slightly, there's a bit of a grey tone to it, and the Barry M is much brighter, so you would just put a glossy top coat on that. So similar, but not, no dupes this time. I think the most comparable are the Bourjois and the Rimmel, but again there is a very, very, very slight difference there. Okay, so that's my Clare's Compares for the second edition. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!